The question of possible Islamic terrorism in the headlines in Ireland. Welcome to Riks Europe, Fatima Gunning, journalist with Griptmedia.
Hello, thanks for having me again.
To start off with, a 16-year-old boy attacks a 52-year-old priest. It wasn't that recent, it was a few weeks ago now. But could you please give us a brief on what happened?
Yeah, so Father Paul Murphy, who is an army chaplain stationed down in the barracks in Renmore, County Galway, he was visiting the barracks. I believe he was sitting in his car in the evening, and he rolled down the window, I believe, to speak to one of the people on the door, or one of the soldiers there. At which point, the 16-year-old boy kind of more or less ran out of the shadows and stabbed him 5 times. Now, the Gardaí, the Irish police force, have said that they do suspect that there may have been a terrorist motive, and that this 16-year-old, who is reported to be an Irish national, a source associated with the father who was stabbed, suggested to me, and I can't prove this, but it was suggested to me that the boy involved is not ethnically Irish, but is an Irish national, that this child, as he's only 16, was radicalized online by, Islamic conspiracy theories in relation to the activities of the Irish Defence Forces in Mali and the Middle East more broadly. And like Ireland is, we're engaged in peacekeeping missions because, we're not an aggressor. Our constitution has military neutrality.
And you mentioned this possible terror link. Has there been any updates in regards to that?
No, before we came on air, like you mentioned to me that you wanted to talk about the aftermath, and like there hasn't been a lot of an aftermath, I would say. It's been very, very quiet. Now, obviously, the Garda anti-terrorism unit will be investigating this, and like they might not have anything to say at this stage. But in terms of the kind of the media discussion, or the flurry of discussion that you would expect when something that's possibly terror related happens in a country like Ireland, it's not really there. Negative things associated with Islam are something that, the establishment in Ireland doesn't really feel very compelled to talk about for whatever reason.
And is it the same in the way the media chooses to report on these sorts of events?
Pretty much. I mean, I think, recently there was a case, and like obviously this has nothing got to do with terrorism, so it's not the same. It's not the same kind of a case, but where a member of the Irish Defence Forces was he was found guilty. He pleaded guilty, but he was essentially given a suspended sentence for a really vicious assault on a woman, and that created an absolute media sensation, like a sensation. It went on for weeks. There was even calls for the victim, and God love her, like she did sustain some like horrible injuries, broken nose, like just being punched in the face 5 times by a military member of the military. Obviously a terrible thing to happen, and not something that any man should ever do to a woman, or anyone for that matter. But that kind of case was paraded, became a national sensation. So when you think of a possible terrorist assault on a member of the Catholic Church and a serving member of the Irish Defence Forces, relatively very, very quiet.
And in the UK, riots broke out as a reaction to 3 children being attacked and killed. People were very angry, and it caused these demonstrations. Have there been anything like that as a result of this attack?
Not that I'm aware of. No, I haven't heard anything like that. I mean, I'm in Leinster. I'm pretty far away from Galway, but I haven't seen anything of that nature.
There's been talk about raising the threat level. Is this true, and is it a real concern?
Well, I think, there was a case about 2 years ago in Sligo, and some eyebrows were raised when this case was not treated as terrorism. It hasn't been treated as terrorism. Like, I want to make that clear, and I don't mean to speculate that it may have been. But there was a case where an Iraqi Kurdish Muslim, Yusuf Palani, who came to Ireland when he was a small child, about 4 years old, through a UN resettlement programme, went on to slaughter 2 gay men in County Sligo. very, very brutally. Like one of them was stabbed 43 times and beheaded. Another one, I believe, he castrated. And he also left another gay man whose home he had visited. So what he did was he went around on gay dating apps, and singled out these Irish homosexual men only. And this third guy that, thankfully wasn't killed, Anthony Burke, was left blind in one eye after Yusuf Palani stabbed him with a knife in the eye and left him for dead. And it has been, rumored at least, or talked about, that if Anthony Burke hadn't survived that and alerted the authorities to what was happening, more men may have been murdered. Now, there's also been speculation that the guy who did that was some kind of a closet homosexual, and that he's alleged to have engaged in sexual activities with at least some of the victims. So there is speculation that he was some kind of a self-hating gay, and, perhaps the attitude towards homosexuals within Islam kind of drove him a little bit crazy. So that was kind of the what would you say, the most horrific thing associated with Islam. Recently, also €350,000 was found in his family home. So we don't really know where that money came from, although I think it was speculated that it was savings. But, the guy, he actually pleaded guilty at the 11th hour, right before he went on trial. So there's a lot of details within that case that would have been compiled by the Director of Public Prosecutions that we are now likely to never know. So, that was kind of the latest thing, or the biggest thing that may have been terrorist related in Ireland, but as I said, was found not to be.
And all of these things together are contributing to wanting to raise the threat level?
Well, I don't know if the Palani case did, but, obviously if there are people being radicalized online, it's not a good situation, especially if, religious representatives are being targeted. It's not something you want to see.
Thank you, Fatima Gunning, journalist with Griptmedia.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching Riks Europe.